the tape for this, our main event of the evening. We introduce the champion, Chris, the West Side Strangler Brennan. Let's get it on!
What's up, guys? We are back to cover the recap of UFC 283 this weekend in Brazil. Good card.
Did you notice that the crowd understood what was happening? I noticed it the most in the Gilbert Burns-Neil Magny fight. And we'll talk about it, but when Burns went from side control on top, the crowd went nuts.
So I yelled up to Lucas when that happened. That is something that happens. It used to happen in Pride a lot.
Okay.
Because they're educated fans.
Yeah.
And the fans here are
we're
not.
We're
yeah.
not. I mean,
and so it is very cool to see like someone pass the guard, you know, and the crowd cheers.
Yeah.
Someone goes from side control to mount, and the crowd goes crazy. And I'm like, yeah. So they're educated.
I thought that was really cool, and it was weird to hear that. I'm like, wait, are they cheering? And then I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I was clapping and excited, but
yeah, like here, only the people that train,
yeah,
you know, or are educated, or someone that really follows the sport,
right?
Otherwise, you know, like what's happening?
And those people are booing because they want to see two people bang and throw punches, and they're not, you know, when it goes to the ground, they're just like, oh, you know, stand them up. So.
Right.
Well, let's jump into it. The first fight, Paul Craig and Johnny Walker. This did not last long at all.
So don't hang on to a single leg and not do something with it. If you pick up a single, you either quickly need to run the pipe, cut to a double, or like treetop it so you can get it up and run him backwards so he's busy trying to stay on his feet.
Right.
But he had it up in the air, and man, he was eating. I kind of demonstrated this morning in fight class, but he was eating like straight clean shots. Every shot that landed was clean, and then while he was sitting on his leg, like
you just
your
hammer
dad used,
fist.
you know, I used to sit on your dad's foot and walk around. That's what he was sitting on. Johnny Walker's leg.
Yeah.
And he just started hammer fisting down until they stopped it. And it was a good stoppage. He was like, I didn't know it, but I was listening to John and Josh, and they had said that there were people complaining it was an early stoppage. It was definitely not an early stoppage.
Okay.
Like he was
taking
hurt.
damage.
Yeah, hard damage.
So if you pull up the stats on this one, I think it was 2 minutes and 16 seconds in the first round. Total strikes 17-3. Significant strikes 16-3. It was just.
I'd said if it stays up, Johnny Walker, if it goes to the ground.
Yeah.
Craig
and Craig wanted it to the ground bad enough that he
needed it to, but not like that.
Yeah. Did you notice Paul Craig, when Buffer was announcing him, man, he was all the way across the ring. He was all, you know, I thought, I'm like, man, and it kind of made me wonder, like, if you posture that hard, are you worried?
Right.
Like, is this you trying to psych yourself up and psych them out? It really made me wonder.
There have been a few guys that do that. I think Conor did that when he fought Khabib as well, and was out there, you know, on his side.
You know what it reminded me of, and this is going to sound like probably a pretty big diss, but it kind of reminded me of Ronda Rousey before she fought Holly Holm, and she just had that, like, you know, that just pucker face almost, you know?
Yeah, that resting bitch face. She's known for that.
Right. I mean, I don't know what else to say about this fight. It went fast. And I just thought what a bad strategy to hold on to that single leg. And
for sure. I mean, he'd have been better off pulling guard and trying to attack from there. He would have absorbed less damage all at one time. He absorbed so much damage right off the bat.
It was awful.
And I'm not an advocate of pulling guard. I'm just saying, like, he did nothing with the single when he had it and needed to switch to something.
Paul Craig was not ranked. Johnny Walker's number 12. Does this do anything for Walker, this performance?
No. I think I talked about it, was the only person would have helped is Paul Craig would have moved into the rankings.
Yeah.
But Johnny Walker's not going to move probably.
Yeah. I don't know what else. It went fast.
Yeah.
So. Lauren Murphy and Jessica Andrade.
My goodness. First of all, one of her coaches is her husband. That would be hard to sit in the corner and watch that happen to your wife.
Yeah.
My God.
I did not know that.
she and it could hinder sometimes, as him being the coach. I don't know what his skill set is, but I did not see Crew Bob in her corner, and that's who she was training with in Houston, the same guy that coaches Derek Lewis.
Okay.
So I don't know what her training situation is, but there were plenty of times in that fight where the ref could have stopped the fight easily.
Yeah.
The corner could have stopped the fight between rounds. Something. I don't know.
Does the corner stop very often? Does that happen very much? I don't know.
No.
That I've ever, I mean, I know it's happened, but I'm trying to think when.
To be honest, and I'm not sure I understand the rules, you're not allowed to throw the towel in anymore. That's one of the things the commission says to us at the rules meeting. So it's like, hey, hello. Can you stop the fight? I'm not sure.
It's a verbal, like.
Yeah, but the ref's busy, right? So getting his attention, I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah.
But, not a lot of people throw in the towel. But in between rounds, she made it out of round 2, and she didn't have much offense going. After she had a little bit in the first round, and it just continued to get worse and worse and worse. And there were, as you stated before we got on the air here, there was 2 10-8 rounds out of the 3 rounds.
Yeah, 2 judges gave it a 10-8. Round 3, all 3 judges gave it a 10-8.
So it was 50-45.
And round 2, so it was 30-25.
Oh, sorry, 30-25. Yeah.
And then one judge gave her a 10-9 for round 2, and so that scorecard was 30-26.
Yeah, so when it's going that bad, there wasn't a lot. She doesn't have one punch knockout power. Mm-hmm. So she wasn't just going to come back and land that knockout punch to win. She wasn't getting close to takedowns. So I don't know what the hope was for in the corner, but at some point you're going to have to start saving some brain cells. And with her, there was two people this weekend that I'll actually go to 3 if you want to talk about the slap fight bullshit, because that guy, did you see that?
No.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
But yeah, they should have stopped that fight. Someone should have stopped that fight.
Round 2 specifically, the one that was 10-8'd across the board, I believe. If you look at significant head strikes, Lauren Murphy took 52 of them versus 21 that she landed. In round 2. That's just round 2. And they were hard. And Andrade was lighting up combos, and she just looked. So first off, her physique just looked otherworldly.
Yeah.
She looked completely different in the cage. And she came out aggressive, and I feel like she was just landing a lot of combinations. It wasn't just one; it was 2 and 3 and 4. Sometimes it looked like.
Yeah, I didn't think that Lauren Murphy landed 20-something in that round, so that was the difference. The significant strikes that she was landing were not the same as the punches landed by Jessica Andrade.
Agreed. 17, and these were just head strikes. 17 head strikes landed by Murphy in round 1 versus 31. From Jessica in round 1, so
she was doubling up in every round.
She was doubling up. It got a little bit closer in round 3, and by a little bit, it was 43 that she threw. So round 3 was her biggest volume, Lauren Murphy's, but she took 78. So that was the round that she took the most as well. So round 3 was a war.
Yeah.
Not much to the body, not much lower. Andrade did hit her with some leg strikes overall. Yeah. But yeah, it was kind of brutal.
No one can question Lauren Murphy's toughness. She's clearly tough. Can't take a punch. But yeah, there needs to be, she's not done, right? She's not done fighting, I don't think. And so how long now has she got to recover from that?
Yeah, because she went in going ranked number 4, I believe. And I need to pull up the ratings on here. But I think that she went in as the 4th ranked fighter in that. Yeah, ranked number 4, tied with Alexa Grasso.
Yeah.
and Andrade was 6. So it was basically 5 and 6.
Now Alexa Grasso's fighting for the belt, right? She's fighting
Shevchenko?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
So you got to think that Murphy's going to drop a little bit. Andrade, I mean, she put on a performance. Do you think that vaults her up maybe 1 or 2 fighters?
Where is she?
Andrade was 6, but really, yeah, she was 6, and Lauren Murphy, I'll call it 5 because she was tied for number 4.
Yeah, so she may end up being 3, but she also may get the next title shot after Alexa Grasso. If she doesn't fight, she might get a title shot.
Yeah, I guess she earned it. I mean, she put on a clinic, man.
Yeah.
Now, do you feel like my comment was, wow, Andrade looks awesome. Your comment was Murphy looks horrible.
Yeah, no,
Which-
yeah, you're correct. Jessica Andrade did look very good. She
Okay.
looked great. She looked great. I don't know that even Lauren Murphy looked terrible. She just got the crap beat out
Okay.
of her, and it should have been stopped. I don't know that she looked bad. I think that she wasn't landing at the clip that Andrade was landing, and definitely not with the power she was landing.
That's what because sometimes you come in and you make the other opponent look good or
Sure,
bad
sure.
by your performance.
Lauren Murphy's tough. I forget what I said going into this, but I picked her to win.
Absolutely,
I
you
picked
did.
her to win.
You did. Yeah,
so,
you texted me like, well, I was wrong here.
yeah,
I think
definitely
after
not
the first
knocking
round.
her. I just think that Andrade was ready to go.
Yeah, she was very much ready to go. It'd be neat to see Andrade fight for a title. The way she looked.
Where's the girl that some people think beat Valentina?
Hold on, let me pull up the rankings here. So, yeah, I guess I'm not sure who you're talking about. There's Manon Fiorot, Santos, Talia Santos.
Yeah.
She's ranked number 2.
So I don't know how. I mean, I'll tell you how she didn't get the title shot, because that's the toughest fight in the division. That girl was throwing her, was hitting her, was like beating her at everything that she beats everybody at. And I couldn't believe when they gave her the decision. And so that's why that fight's not happening again right now, because Valentina doesn't want it right now.
Yeah, she's not going to send that contract.
Probably,
Well,
yeah.
I hope that Andrade gets something with it, because she put up a tremendous performance. Obviously, again, unanimous decision, and the odds were heavy in her favor, and she came out and showed everybody that she deserved that.
Yep.
Gilbert Burns and Neil Magny. This is the one that I mentioned where Burns went from side control to mount and was able to. It was a head and arm, I believe, 4 minutes and 15 seconds in the first round.
Yeah. The educated crowd went crazy.
Yes, that was so cool.
Yeah, that was a fight, and I definitely picked Burns in this fight.
Yep.
I just think that if you have that striker versus grappler, and the striker has that big of a danger factor, you're in a lot of trouble. And he came out, picked him up, took him down pretty easy, real fast, real early in the round, and then just got to work and ended up passing and was able to choke him.
And it was getting close. You were like, oh, is he going to make it out of the first round? Is he going to make this work?
What was the time on
I think it was 4:15. Let me double check. I think it was 4:15. Let me get back here. Yeah, 4:15.
And Neil Magny's a stud, man. He's fought a lot of really good guys,
Yeah.
beat a lot of really good guys.
Yeah.
But Gilbert Burns, he's at the peak of that division, right? Like, he's, unfortunately right now, he's like the gatekeeper. You know, he lost to Usman, but he
lost to Hamzat.
He lost to Usman, then he lost to Hamzat.
Yep.
But he's right there, like, he's better than everybody else, you know?
So ahead of him, so Edwards is the belt holder, obviously. Then you got Usman. Then you got Covington, Hamzat Chimaev, and then Bilal Muhammad, and then Gilbert Burns. And I think he called out Covington and was like, let's rock.
So as a man, as a professional fighter, if you talk shit on somebody and they show up at a restaurant and punch you in the head,
Yeah.
even if it's uncalled for, you don't sue the guy, right? He's now suing Jorge Masvidal for brain
assault
damage.
and-
yes,
okay.
but saying brain damage. So he will not be fighting anybody anytime soon. he, especially like, how's he going to suffer brain damage and go out and fight, right?
Sure,
So for the fact that he's in some sort of lawsuit court case going on, he will definitely not be fighting, and it's going to end up dropping down because people are going to be busy fighting. And yeah, I think he should have handled it differently.
Yeah.
But, we'll see.
That's interesting.
But
this division
people say the internet's not real life.
Yeah.
The internet is real life. You just get to not run into the people in your real life.
Yeah.
It's a real person saying the things that he's saying. It's a real person typing those things.
Yeah.
But it's typically a coward that sits behind there that knows they're never going to end up running into the person.
Right.
Right. Well, Jorge Masvidal is a thug, right? And he's
Straight up.
He went. I mean, you know that. You should know that. Look what he did to who's the champ? Leon Edwards backstage.
Yeah.
Lit him up backstage, just for saying something while he was getting interviewed. And so you've got to know, and you both live in Florida, so it's not like one guy's in California, one guy's in Florida, you're not going to run into each other. He may have got on a plane to come there anyway. I mean, look what Conor did when Khabib's guys smacked Artem. He got on an airplane with a bunch of guys in Ireland and flew to New York and threw dollies at the bus. Some of these guys are real fighters. They're fighters before they were fighters.
Yeah.
And so when you run your mouth about somebody like Jorge Masvidal, that dude's going to show up and some, you're either going to fight. It was a cheap shot. It was a dirty shot. He didn't say, hey, turn around, what's up? He just and blindsided him.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the kind of thing you can expect from somebody that is that type of guy.
Yeah.
So that's the type of guy you don't run your mouth about the way you did, Yeah.
Take the W and walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, he
beat him.
handily.
Yeah.
Take the W.
Yep.
Yeah. I knew you were going to be super stoked for this one.
Oh, man.
So awesome. Figueiredo.
So many
Moreno.
good things happened during that fight and after the fight that made me happy.
So, doctor stoppage between rounds 2 and 3. Was it an eye poke?
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not. It was a knuckle.
So I saw the knuckle, but then afterwards his right hand
Pushed
went
the
up.
other side of his face.
Okay.
But the knuckle in the eye closed his eye. If you get hit with a knuckle in the eye and it fits perfect, it might as well be an eye gouge. Like it feels terrible.
Yeah.
Getting punched in the face, it hurts, but it's not like
Right.
There, you're like instantly like he probably has a broken orbital bone. Like it fit in nicely.
Yeah.
And it was not this. It was this.
It was the thumb.
He threw the overhand, and the thumb knuckle went right in there.
Yep.
And so he instantly looked to complain because he was hurt.
Yes.
And it wasn't an eye gouge. And then he pushed off his face, off the other side of his face, and it was not an eye gouge. And man, the look in his eye, I was like, it's over. Yeah, it's over. Whatever happens now is only going to go backwards.
It wasn't the look in his eyes; it was look in his eye because you could only see one at that point.
and he was broken right here.
Yeah.
And Brandon was on point from the get-go. And all three judges gave round 2 to Figueiredo. Yeah. And I guess because he had the guillotine for so long, but he wasn't in trouble with the guillotine. He was past the half guard on the proper side.
To me, that just like an arm gas is what that.
Yeah, he was trying to hold on and not end up on bottom getting beat up, for as long as possible. But Brandon looked phenomenal and he stuck to a good game plan. Although Safe said 1-2, 1-2, 1-1-2, stay away from the hook. It was a big hook that did it.
and I lied. It was actually after round 3. I thought it was between 2 and 3, but it was between 3 and 4.
Yeah.
If you look at the scorecards, everybody had Moreno leading. It was 29-28, 29-28, and one judge gave a 10-8 to Moreno in round 3.
Oh, really?
And so he was actually winning that one 29-27.
Okay. He looked great. Had a great game plan. His wrestling looked good, Figueiredo's wrestling looked good too, but the scrambles back up to the feet and right back onto a takedown for Brandon were great. Yep. I was happy. I told you I wasn't pumped that Safe ended up being the coach.
Yeah.
Only because I feel like the way he made me and Luke feel when we were there was very, you are very lucky to be in my building. He made everyone know that. Yeah. He walked around with a Glock stuck in the front of his pants while he taught class or ran practice. He didn't really teach anything, but while he ran practice.
What?
Yeah. And everyone's like, yeah, he does it all the time. I was like, you've clearly pissed off too many people if you're teaching class with a Glock in your pants. But anyway, I was happy because he didn't intervene afterwards. He didn't make it about him at all. It was all about Brandon. In the interview afterwards, Brandon even said he didn't want to take credit for anything, and he really shouldn't have taken too much anyway, but sure some. I'm sure he had the game plan, and he brought training partners to him in Vegas and did whatever. He's got good guys that train with him, and I saw pictures of my buddy Fernie training with Brandon there, and so I was happy that he didn't make it seem like
he
won the world championship
because
it was him. Because in my eyes, he won 4 times now, or a draw and 3 wins. You know, he lost a decision I thought he won.
Yeah.
He submitted him in the other one, and then he beat him this time. So he was clearly the better fighter, in my opinion, from the get-go. And so I'm just glad he didn't take the credit for it, and Brandon was able to enjoy it. But he did say that he would be out to Dallas to train with him again, you know, moving forward. So
cool.
Good for them.
Every time I hear of a fight being stopped by doctor stoppage, all I can hear is a broken Conor McGregor against the fence against Poirier yelling, "That's a doctor stoppage. You call it a doctor stoppage." Does that mean anything at all?
No, it's TKO.
It's a loss.
When it goes on, goes on the record, I'm sure it's going to be a TKO. I don't even. It might say doctor stoppage, but I don't know if it says
I mean,
that.
I think it says TKO hyphen doctor stoppage on UFC.
It's a TKO. So
it's all I can hear every time. I can just
whether
hear
it's a corner stoppage, whether it's a doctor stoppage, whether it's a ref stoppage, whatever, it's a TKO.
With his eye swollen, that you knew even before the doctor came out when he was sitting on his stool. Were you pretty sure? Or when did you kind of?
Yeah. So the doctor, they don't let the doctor come in until the 1 minute break in between trying to do everything ends.
Yeah.
Then they'll call timeout and the doctor will come in before the round starts.
Gotcha.
So I knew he was coming in. I knew there was no way they were going to start the round with his eye completely closed.
Yep.
And it was completely closed.
Completely.
So I was like, oh, there's no way they're going to start the round. So let's see what the doctor says when he comes in. So the doctor came in and looked at it, and then I watched him shake his head, and he kind of shook it again and went like that, and it was like that. And then, Herb or Jason, I forget who was reffing, called it off.
It was a nasty cut under his eye, too. Both a swell, and there was a nasty cut there.
He was done. He's moving up now to 135, and I'm happy about that just because I would not want to see him win a few fights and be right back to fight number 5, with Brandon, because I believe they're both, pretty far ahead of the rest of the field.
So when he goes up to 135, now he's looking at Sterling, Sugar Sean, Piotr Jan.
His hands. 35 is a dirty fight in the UFC. Like, that weight class is ridiculous.
Dominic Cruz, Rob Font, Sanhagen, Chito Vera. Like, there are killers in that.
The top 10 guys in that division are no thanks.
You've even got a Nurmagomedov creeping up in that one. So that's I don't know why he would do that. So you mentioned good things during and after the fight. You talked about during the fight, just the game plan. You talked about after the fight. Was there anything else?
No, I just meant like after the fight with the coach not being in the limelight, but was very cool afterwards. And then I saw him on Ariel Helwani today, and he was cool on that. And also. So on the way out of the cage, they're in the back, and do you see everyone throwing stuff at them?
Yes, I
So
did.
that happened to us when we fought in Juarez, Mexico. wild, throwing drinks at us and just running with our heads down.
Yeah.
Brandon's laughing while he's running. I was like, bro, he's from Tijuana. Like, you are you trying to make him go out to the bar? Like that happens every day there.
Right. That's called Tuesday.
Yeah,
for
he's
him,
running
right?
laughing, and whatever. But he then went to Pantoja backstage and he hugged him and said, hey, I promise you're next. I promise you're next. That he would give him a title fight. Well, Pantoja beat him. So it was cool of him to do that.
Yeah.
He was being very nice, and the guy was being nice. Then all of a sudden, the guy started getting hostile and started talking and started being mouthy, and Safe is like, burp, and just like stopped him and pushed him back and ushered Brandon along the rest of the way. But it was real weird that he got like that because Brandon was being super respectful like he always is. And
such a humble, well-spoken,
so
just
cool, man.
so chill.
And when we met him at Glory, every time we were up there, he was just such a down-to-earth guy. He plays with Legos. Like the house we were staying in was the house he was staying in the time before.
Yeah.
And there were still leftover Lego packages and stuff there.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and he's hilarious.
That is so cool. Just to wrap this up, total strikes 24 versus 85. Significant strikes 48 versus 19. Obviously, both in favor of Moreno.
That's not a good night for the receiving end of that.
Yeah, I think that just about every way he could have. He proved once and for all. And obviously, we're not going to see a number 5, I'm sure, for a long time. This is it. It was cool that number 4 came, and it was because of a draw and a win and a loss for both. Like, they really came in.
That couldn't have been any
like
more of
500,
a rubber match.
like that literally was the rubber match. That was pretty cool. All right, the fight of the night, and this one fight of the night, Jamal Hill took it to Glover Teixeira, man. He took it to him in all 5 rounds. It was a unanimous decision.
So this is the other guy that's definitely leaving with many less brain cells. Glover Teixeira is just too tough for his own good, man. I felt bad because he's so tough, and I'm not sold on Jamal Hill yet. I really am not. And here's why.
Yeah.
If you go back to our episode when we were talking about Glover and Yuri, Glover's ground is good if you're not trying to get out. But he lost position in the Yuri fight multiple times. Multiple times he lost the back. He lost position 2 or 3 times in this fight that gave up the fight.
Yeah.
Like he was in the finally he's going to win. He got the chance. He got the position he needed.
Yeah.
There are guys, if they get that position, that's it. That's a wrap.
It's over.
And they're not going to get out. And
Ask Gilbert Burns.
For sure. And this guy got out every time. Not to take anything away from him, but it's the same stuff that took place when Yuri got out, and it's a lack of stuff on Glover's side, in my opinion. I just feel like if he's got your back and you're flattened out, he can choke you. If he passes and gets an arm triangle, he can arm triangle you. But if you're creating chaos on the bottom and working up, they get up, and they rolled him to the bottom. He got rolled over to the bottom, and ended up on bottom. I'm like, man, don't end up on bottom. And he gave up position. And I don't know if he's older. He's past his prime. He's not the same. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
When he was in his prime, I don't think he was fighting the best guys. He got to the UFC late. But he went on such a hell of a run in the UFC, beating good guys, submitting good guys. I just feel like I want to see Jamal Hill and somebody else and that can wrestle. Somebody else that can wrestle and see what happens there.
So we should give some props to Glover Teixeira.
100%.
Leaves his gloves in the cage, retires 33-9.
Oldest champion in UFC history.
He retired at 43 years old. It was funny. I was at a restaurant watching it, and some people who weren't UFC fighters are looking at both of them, and they're like, they're fighters? Like, look how, I'm like, and I leaned over, I'm like, he's 43. Like, I know he looks a little soft, but you got to understand what this guy has done in his career.
Such a savage.
You have
and how
to
tough is
understand.
he? My God.
How tough is he?
Like, that's another fight that could have been stopped in a couple positions, couple times. He was just taking a beating on the feet.
that cut above his eye.
Oh, it was giant.
Just
I didn't think they were going to
nasty.
start that round.
Just
And they
nasty.
did. The referee came and looked at it too, or the doctor came and looked at it, and they still started the fight. And I was just like, holy crap, man.
So to put it, and it's going to take me a second. I guess, well, I was looking at his career.
Is that his run right there?
Yes, I was. Now it's not all in the
my
UFC,
goodness.
of course, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. He went 2-2 and then ran 20 professional fights in a row. Unfortunately, he ran into a freight train named John Jones. Lost to him, lost to Phil Davis, and
then how was he? Sporadic?
50-50. He beat OSP. He beat Patrick Cummins, Rashad Evans, lost to Anthony Johnson, beat Cannonier, lost to Gustafson. Misha Serkinov, he beat Corey Anderson. He lost to, and then he went on a 5-6-1.
So there's the other run I was talking about. That was a run in the UFC.
Yep. So Carl Robertson, Kutalaba. Nikita Krylov, Anthony Smith, and then Thiago Santos and Jan Blachowicz.
Yeah,
so that's a gauntlet right there.
That was everybody left in the light heavyweight division after Jones was gone.
Yep. And then he lost to Yuri for the belt, right, in June of 2022.
Yeah,
that was
year.
for the belt, and then leaves it all here, fought for the belt one more time. Just a warrior.
Oh yeah, I'm happy he's retired.
Yeah.
I hope Dana, like, for guys like that, with the amount of money the UFC has, they need to be like, here's $1 million.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Not Glover saying thank you to him. Dana White needs to hand him $1 million to say thank you.
You earned this.
Yes, thank you for doing what you've done for my organization, and he should do that with a lot of people.
Total strike count on this one, 248 over 5 rounds versus 108. 2.5 to 1 almost. Significant strikes were 75 to 232. You look at them afterwards, and I didn't see 75 strikes worth of damage on Jamal Hill. He was worn out a little bit.
His happened, and when he hurt him, he did hurt him at one time.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, he's going to do this. He's going to do this. And
was that like round 3? Or
yeah,
felt
I think
like it was late.
It was either late. Yeah, I guess it was. It was probably round 3. And then he got back in it and started landing again. I was like, oh, all right, well, maybe not. That's a great shirt. I donated $2,000 to them when I was at my Tony Robbins seminar years ago.
Operation Underground Railroad. They're legit, man. So we shouldn't leave this without talking about the other Hall of Famer that was recognized. Oh, yeah. You want to say anything about
There's
that?
another guy that had gone on one of the craziest runs of all time in his career before running into Conor McGregor. I want to say it was mid to high 20s. What a savage. Jose Aldo is getting put into the Hall of Fame, which is cool because he literally just retired and they're already inducting him into the Hall of Fame. That's very nice of Dana to do because normally he waits kind of quite a while before he does that.
So, like, if you're in the NFL, it's 5 years after you retire before you're even eligible for the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Is there any kind of eligibility like that?
Clearly
in
not
MMA?
because he retired 2 cards ago.
Okay. All right. So you wanted to talk about his run, and again, it's going to take me a second to count all these, but it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 wins, spanning WEC, TFC, and then he got into the UFC in 2011, and that was a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That was a 7-fight streak before he ran into Conor.
Can you go before that big streak?
Oh, so thank you. So
I say 6 straight, then lost 1, then went on 18.
Yeah, that's right. So I mean, this guy
7.
was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah,
so
7
he was
straight, 1 lost, then 18
and
straight.
then 18. Yeah. So I mean, you're talking 25-1 at that point. Luciano Azevedo.
Yeah,
in Jungle Fight 5 in 2005. And he got submitted. He got a rear naked on him.
Wild.
So, yeah, it's cool to see. It was cool to see that moment for Jose. I mean, he had his family Was that his coach on the other side of him?
Yes, Andre Pederneiras, who's he fought also back when I was fighting. He fought Miletich a couple fights after I fought Pat in the UFC. He was Renan Barão's coach. I don't know the girls, but he's got a couple girls that are also phenomenal in the UFC right now. They're a savage team.
And you're right. He lost on August 20th. And did he leave his gloves in the cage that night as well? I don't remember.
Yes, he was done.
So that's it for UFC 283. Did you want to talk a little bit about Power Slap before we go?
Power Slap. See, I didn't even remember the name of it. That guy got hit so hard I forgot the name of the organization. Yeah, man, it's just dumb. This guy's face was this gigantic after getting hit. Like, it looked like his jaw might be broken, his orbital bone might be broken. And the biggest disappointment, and don't hate me for saying this, Jason, the biggest disappointment was Jason Herzog was standing there refereeing the damn thing.
I saw
and I love Jason.
I
would not want to be involved in this thing, you know?
Yeah.
I would not want to be involved in this thing as a ref, as anything. And I don't think it gets off the ground. I don't think it, like, unless it's off the ground right now, but I don't think it gets to be, how much can they be making? Right?
Well, and for how
like,
long
what are
can
they going to
you
do?
this?
Pay them more than a UFC fighter and watch the UFC lose their mind?
Yeah.
You know, like, how much are they making and how long can you do it?
And what's a long career? 5 fights? 6 fights? Because if you're
Don't call them
concussed,
fights.
events?
Yes, 5 events of getting slapped in the face with no defense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dumb.
I was talking to a coworker. They asked, how my weekend was, and I was talking about watching the UFC, and he's like, "Oh, I can't. It's too brutal." And I'm like, I used to think that until I started learning more about it and understanding the skill that's involved and the camaraderie and people hugging. He's like, "Yeah, for this one, like all I see is, like you said, concussions. I don't see any camaraderie. There's nothing.
I'm literally watching people get knocked out with a palm strike, a slap. Their hand has to be behind their back. And they have no defense whatsoever. And if they move, they flinch, they're penalized, so you just have to stand there like a dummy and get hit in the face.
It's unreal.
So I don't think there is any amount of money, especially like for the win and show money, the show and win money that the UFC entry guys get.
Yeah.
That is not enough to stand there and get hit like that.
Yeah.
So we'll see how long it lasts. That's all the love I want to get. I don't want to talk about it anymore until it's over.
So coming up next, we've got a couple things coming up. There's a big Bellator fight coming up real soon.
Well, they finally announced Luke's event this weekend.
Okay.
His March 31st at Pechanga Casino in California.
Yeah.
Super stoked on that. That's Bellator 293. Don't cut us. And
Hashtag don't cut us.
There's a big one coming up, right? It's the
Fedor.
Yes, Fedor and Ryan Bader. That's gonna be a great one as well.
Yeah, and this is Fedor's last
Fedor's
fight
last
too,
fight.
right?
Yeah.
That's it. And
he
then,
lost pretty fast to Bader when they fought, and he wanted this to be his last fight, so he's asking for the rematch.
And then you've got UFC coming up in February with Volkanovski and Islam Makhachev,
yeah.
right? That's going to be a barn burner.
Crazy.
And then March is going to be. I'm super excited.
Yeah, a lot of good cards coming up.
I know he's your favorite fighter, but I can't wait to see John Jones get back in there, man. Can't wait.
I'm interested to see. Like, I've typically never even been interested to see. Now that he moved up to weight class, I'm definitely interested to see what he even looks in fights like.
Right.
So I'm interested in that.
Cool.
And I'll always be one of the guys that's paying the pay-per-view to watch him lose.
Watch him, hoping he gets pezzed. Like.
Right. And I mean, regardless, right, that's all they want is someone to want to watch him win or watch him lose. And as long as they're getting those pay-per-view money,
You could take my money. Like, I'm going to watch those.
Cool. Well, thank you. See you guys next time. Thank you very much.
It is all over, just like that.